Before we get rolling with this week's episode, a couple of quick announcements to make. First of all, I've added a new section to my website, which I call the large format resource page. And this is something I've been working on for the past month or so. And so it's a resource of information, first of all, about the equipment that I use, the cameras, the lenses, and stuff like that, because it's nothing I really ever get to too much into the videos. I always felt like videos really wasn't the best place for that, but I do have write-ups about all the equipment on my website because I think it's just a little better venue for that sort of information. But there's also a listing as far as the film types I use, my thoughts on it, how to expose it, the lab that I use for developing, the person I use for doing drum scanning, as well as recommendations for the type of cable release that I use, film holders, my thoughts on the different types, changing bags, all kinds of stuff along those lines. And it's a resource that I'm going to continue to add to, and I will also be adding a knowledge base section to it, which will have information about different techniques as far as working with film, working with large format and stuff along those lines. But go ahead and check that out if you're interested in that, and let me know if you have any thoughts on it. I'll be adding a little bit more to it. Another thing I want to mention, there's a photographer from the UK named Hannah O'Brien who was recently asked to be a part of a exhibition of her work. And so she's doing some fundraising because it takes money in order to put on something like this, as far as having the photos printed and displayed and everything. And so she is selling 3 different prints in order to help fund the exhibition that she's doing. And she could definitely use your guys' help. So I'll put a link to her website down below. You can read all about her story and then look at the photos that she has available. And I think she'd really appreciate some help with that as well. So this week's video is all about Solitude, and also some of the things I've kind of learned as far as dealing with it, and this stuff that has kind of come up in the past couple of videos I put out. I hope you guys enjoy. What is going on, everyone? So in this week's video, I want to talk about Solitude. Now, this is sort of a topic that has come up in the first 2 videos that I've posted from my video journals for my spring trip. And it's a backpacking trip, so I'm off there in the middle of nowhere, all out there by myself. But I've been going on the backpacking trips. 2012 was the first time I went on a backpacking trip. First solo backpacking trip was 2013. But the first solo photography trip where I was working for my truck was in 2009. So I've gone on quite a few trips through the years, and the idea of Solitude, it's kind of something I have kind of a love-hate relationship with, because it's something that I enjoy from the standpoint of being able to visit some really nice destinations and being able to find some great subjects and not, fight any crowds or anything along those lines, and have the freedom to kind of go where I want to go and find those really cool subjects to point my camera at. But it can also be rather difficult, because the solitude does kind of weigh me down a little bit at times. And I wish I could say that I was really good at dealing with that. And I think some of you guys might assume, based on the fact that I've been doing this as long as I have, that it's something that I thrive in, that sort of environment of solitude. And it's something that I really, can't wait to get out there and find those cool subjects out there in the middle of nowhere. And from that standpoint, yeah, that's true. I mean, I've always planned these trips well in advance. I always put a lot of thought into where I'm going, what I'm bringing, and I enjoy the process of planning the trip. But once you get out there, the solitude can be a little tricky to work with. And that's why I think it was on my second solo trip, I brought along an iPod filled with podcasts and music, and just threw the earbuds in. When the fact that I was out there all by myself sort of started getting to me a little bit, especially in kind of like the evenings and stuff like that, as you're trying to set up camp or something along those lines. But that really did help out. But also I did notice that it also separated me from reality a little bit, and that was something that I really didn't enjoy, because it was my New Year's resolution this year to be more in the moment on the trips. So on the spring trip I just got back from, I decided not to bring along the iPod so I can sort of better experience, being out there and sort of be more in the moment when I was on the shooting trip. And from that standpoint, it was very, very successful because there was a few moments on the backpacking part of the trip that I very much did feel in the moment. And I was very grateful for where I was and for the opportunities I had and the subjects I found. But it also does leave me a little more vulnerable as far as the feeling of loneliness that comes with that solitude. And that's something that I really want to get better at. I mean, I've been at it for a long time. I'm still trying to kind of work all this out. But I want to get it to the point where I can just really enjoy being out there, really enjoy my time, not have to depend on, the podcasts or the music or anything to kind of distract my mind for a little while. And so I was trying to figure out why it is that over the past maybe 3 years or so that it seems to be perhaps getting a little bit more difficult to kind of deal with the solitude that comes with going to some of these locations instead of, all the time leading up to that where it kept getting better and better and better. And I think I kind of figured out what it was because I was kind of asking myself, what is it that's really changed more so in the past few years? And I think it really is a growing addiction to the smartphone and always being connected and social media and everything that comes along with that. Because it definitely is kind of an addiction. I mean, it's something I think most people these days, if they have a smartphone, they're always, if you're waiting in line for buying tickets or whatever it is, restaurant or whatever, but wherever you are, you're waiting in line, first thing you do within like 2 seconds is pull out your phone, start checking on things. And if you ever, forget your phone, leave it at home one day, then drive around, you feel awkward without it. And going on a trip for multiple days off in the middle of nowhere, just being abruptly disconnected, I think that also kind of leads to sort of enhancing that sense of solitude where I really want to thrive in it as opposed to seeing it as a negative thing. So I think one of the things that I want to work on is helping to break that addiction to the phone. And when I go to work, I leave my phone in my truck and don't even take it with me to work. And I've also been actively trying to not use the phone. Last night, my wife and I were watching a movie out on, we have a hammock on our back patio. So we had our laptop out there and we're just laying in the hammock watching the movie. Didn't have the phone with me, and I gotta say, it was kind of nice. Otherwise, I probably would have had the phone out and pull it out and just kind of gotten distracted from everyday life and stuff along those lines. So that's something I'm gonna work on, and I've if you guys have any thoughts on it or if you guys have any sort of comments on that, I'd love to read that down below as well. But I definitely want to get to the point where I can sort of thrive in the wilderness and thrive in that sort of situation. But I think it's gonna be tough, but we'll see. But I want to thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you around next week.